would say you can, if you call me, I will pick up the phone, during the workday, but it better be an emergency. Otherwise, just text me. I didn't know about that feature, or maybe they didn't have it. I don't know if they had it when they were younger, but it's a good idea.
Today is April 15th, 2025, and I call to order the Encinitas Parks and Recreation Commission. My name is Chair Ritter, and may we start with a roll call, please?
Yes. So let the record show all commissioners are present except Commissioner Capiello.
Thank you. And for those who can, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So today we don't have any special presentations or proclamations. So moving on to oral communications. Do we have any speakers?
There are no oral communications tonight,
Thank you. Any changes to the agenda?
and there are no changes to the posted agenda.
All right, moving on to approval of the minutes for the March 18th, 2025 meeting of the commission. All commissioners were present that day, so they all are welcome to vote. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move.
Commissioner Quinn makes the first move. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Fantastic. Let's go ahead and vote.
Okay, the motion passes with one absent.
Thank you. All right, our first action item today is we have a presentation for playground replacement projects. So let's go ahead and get started with that presentation, please. Manager Norgard, are you going to preface it, or are they going to start?
This is Jeremy Franzini from Michael Baker International, landscape architect. That's been the lead for all of our playground designs. We can go through the presentation, then continue on with some staff comments.
Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you very much for having us here today. We are going to talk about the playground replacements at 3 of your existing parks and also some other additional amenities, including outdoor exercise equipment. So really quickly, here's the agenda. We're going to start with Glen Park, playground and exercise equipment. We'll get into Orpheus Park, the playground, exercise equipment, and the replacement of the picnic shelter that is proposed there. And then we'll talk about the playground replacement at Wheel Park. And then we'll give an overview of where we are in this process to actually getting some of these designs implemented and installed for the community. Glen Park. Here's a photo of the existing Glen Park from above, an aerial photo. Just to orient everyone, the playground is to the right with a multicolor, kind of right center with a multicolored rubberized surface. It's adjacent to the existing sand volleyball court and near the basketball court. Some photos of those existing conditions. Photo on the left is the current horseshoe pit area. We'll talk about how that is being proposed to being modified into an outdoor exercise area. The center photo is the photo of the existing equipment that's out there today. And then on the right, you can see the condition of some of the rubberized safety surfacing that's been worn out over time and use. So to kind of recap a little bit, we went out with initial concept designs to the community in November of last year. And through that process, we got additional input and guidance on the designs we're presenting here tonight. And we made it clear to the community that that was their chance to give us input and they could see the results of that input here tonight. So looking at the current concepts that we have, a lot of this was based off of the input we did receive in those initial community meetings. And so There was kind of a sentiment that they felt the playground equipment at Glen Park should have a surf vibe because of its proximity to the ocean. And there was also a lot of comments about adding swings. The initial concepts didn't have as many swings as we have today. You'll see it's a 3-bay swing on this concept. So here's the overall plan view. We'll kind of go through each of these features. There's a mix of ground level play and above level play to make sure that we're exceeding ADA accessibility requirements for playgrounds. I'll kind of just go through each piece here. So the swings are now highlighted. You'll see there's a 2 standard swing and, as I said, a 1 tot swing, so a 3-bay swing. There's a smaller 2 to 5 structure here. So this playground had enough space to separate a 2 to 5 playground and a 5 to 12 playground, which is ideal for playgrounds when you have that type of space. And then the larger 5 to 12 playground, and we'll show some perspective views of this, but this is generally how this is fitting on the site. There's also some freestanding play equipment around in these other areas. Even though, I just want to be clear that even though when you're looking at these renderings in this picture, you're seeing a blue surface, that's just the artist's interpretation. The city is going to be using the wood fiber safety surfacing. If you've seen that, it meets ADA accessibility requirements. It's kind of, we call it an engineered mulch. So it's kind of like it's a wood product that binds together so you can still have ADA accessibility, and it works with the impact attenuation for if anyone fell off of the play equipment. It has the right safety absorption to meet all the current code. And then the last unique
Jeremy,
thing,
if I might just jump in real quick. Just for a point of clarification, when you say separate 2 to 5 and 5 to 12, we're talking ages.
yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yes.
Just wanted to make sure it was
2 to 5
clear.
age group and 5 to 12 age group. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that. So, playgrounds, are designed for different age levels, and this playground, because of the size, has both structures. There's also one thing I want to highlight here is there's a proposed seat wall between the volleyball court and the playground surfacing. Just because the the volleyball sand, the sand tends to migrate as people walk through it, and then it gets into the wood mulch area and causes maintenance issues. So there's a proposed seat wall to kind of separate those materials, and it also is a nice thing for parents to have in the playground to sit on that and watch their children play. And so there's a little bit of seating in this proposed design. We'll go through some renderings here. The one on the left, you can see the size. It's that 5 to 12 age group structure. And then on the right is just a reverse view of that same structure. This view, you can kind of see the 2 to 5 age group structure in the middle of that left slide. You'll also see the accessible, they call it like a merry-go-round, but it does not spin at the same rate it did when we were kids. But that's on the right, and then there's some freestanding spinners and panels on the left. Here's the 3-bay swing. So we have 2 standard belt swings, and then the tot bucket seat for the tot swing there on the right. Here's some images again of those freestanding play panels of surfboards, and there's a spinner on the left. And then here's that 2 to 5 structure so that it's separated for age groups. Again, keep in mind that the blue surfacing on the ground is just an artist rendering. It will be the light brown engineered wood fiber mulch. It's just when they draw these up, this is kind of what you get. Now we want to talk about the exercise area. Again, it's highlighted here in red, which is the current horseshoe pit area. And we work to add some freestanding equipment without reconfiguring that space too much. So we have a pretty extensive list of all the different exercises that can happen in this area. Looking at the left, it's called they're calling it a fitness rack, where it has a lot of variety of pull-ups, push-ups, incline benches, a lot of different activities in this one piece of equipment. There's also, and that's that large area on the left. There's also a balance board station where you stand on that and work on balance. There's parallel bars. There's the sit-up back extension feature. more plyometric box stations. They call this a captain's chair, which is a device where you can do knee raises, dips, leg raises, things of that nature. We're also proposing to add 2 precast concrete benches there, so people have a place to sit and catch their breath, perhaps set their water bottle down. So there is some seating in that exercise area. And this would have the rubber surfacing just because it's a little bit easier to deal with as far as accessibility to that exercise equipment. And if anyone's been out there, there is an existing fence along the drainage channel. The idea is to keep that fence in place, and we're really just removing the fence on the back side and opening it up. But we still need to make sure, from a safety standpoint, no one's falling into the channel that's running through this area. Here are some images of that equipment. You see the large fitness rig, and then some of the other freestanding equipment. So 2 different views of how this equipment can lay out and really provide a wide variety of exercise activities for this area. Move on to Orpheus Park. Orpheus Park here is again another aerial view above you. This is the round play area. There's a long meandering concrete path to it. And then you'll see there's the shade shelter and that lower portion that we'll talk about replacing that as well. Some photos again of the existing play area, the shade shelter, and then the rubber sand combination that's currently out there today, where the rubber is providing you ADA accessibility. Sand is does not provide any ADA accessibility. So and sand and rubber tend to conflict with each other a lot. The sand tends to migrate onto the rubber, wear out the rubber. So it works for attenuation from fall height, but it doesn't work very well from ADA accessibility standpoint and maintenance. So looking at this layout, we're going to kind of go over the same features. Again, we're exceeding ADA accessibility requirements, and I'll kind of highlight each piece here in the above view, and then we'll have some perspective views to see it. So again, this one has the swings with 2 standard swings and 1 taut swing. Has the 2 to 5 shade structure with the integral solid roof. So this has shade incorporated into the roof with bigger umbrellas. The other one, previous one at Glen Park, had shade incorporated, but a little bit a different fashion. And then the 5 to 12 play structure that is more of this arched concept with still with a slide. And again, the perspective views will help. Reminder again on the surfacing that even though it's blue, it would be the engineered wood mulch, wood fiber surfacing as we're calling it here, and the existing fence around the perimeter of that park will remain. So we're not doing anything with fencing, we're not doing anything with concrete sidewalks. This literally is trying to remove the old equipment from the playgrounds and install new equipment without changing the available play space. Some of these perspective views, again, you'll see that arched, climbing apparatus with a slide. This was a surf shack theme, which you'll see on the image on the right. Still a surf theme, but executed differently than we saw at Glen. And again, integrated shade as well as different age groups able to play on that. Just some reverse images of those play structures, and again, the swings with the 2 strap seats as well as the bucket seat, or belt seats, I guess. And this one, during our community outreach, there was discussion about heights of the existing equipment and versus what is proposed. So we wanted to show what those proposed heights would be. The city went out and measured the height of the existing equipment to be about 11 feet. So when you see these structures, the play structure itself at the top of that surf shack would be 14 feet 9, but because there was a preference to have shade in that playground integrated with the equipment, it puts it up at 7 feet 10 inches, and the swings would be down at 8 feet 2 inches. So we just wanted to be clear on the heights of this equipment because it came up, but I felt like the community, just wanted to know what the heights were going to be because there's existing vegetation kind of beyond this playground as you look down through the park. Looking at the exercise equipment, we're showing it, kind of located in this southern portion of the site, and is shown in that red rectangle as the proposed location. This is just one piece of equipment, as they call it, a fitness rack. This also has the integrated shade with lots of different equipment, with step-up platforms and sit-up benches and pull-up bars and knee dips, and again, a wide variety of exercise opportunities built into one piece of equipment. And then looking at the picnic shelter that's out there today, we saw that photo of it in the earlier slide. So the city's interested in replacing that and upgrading that. And we would use the same hexagon shape that's out there today. The city measured the existing one as 12 feet in height. This proposed would be 13 feet in height, so just a little bit taller. And we think we can get 4 6-foot long precast concrete picnic tables, which is kind of like the arrangement today. We'll make sure there's ADA accessibility to those picnic tables. And when we put in this new shelter, we will replace the concrete pad that's out there today with a new pad, because the concrete footings that are buried below ground for these shelters are quite large and extensive. So you have to kind of remove the paving around it and put new paving in. Our last park tonight is Wiro Park. The aerial in this one's interesting. It shows you how heavily dense the trees and vegetation is around it. You can barely see the park there in the middle of it. So that was sort of something important to know, is there's a lot of trees and a lot of debris falling off those trees. You'll see in these pictures there is currently 4 swings out there today and a small play structure. Again, that mix of sand and ADA accessibility, which, there's maintenance issues and accessibility issues, and that, is a challenge here at this site. Looking at the plan view again, we're exceeding ADA requirements. The swings, due to the small size and footprint of Wiro Park, we were only able to get 2 swings in, and that's shown there. And then because, again, the small size, we had to do just 1 structure. We didn't have enough space for 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. So it just ends up being a 5 to 12 structure. This one actually will get rubberized surfacing. I think the city was agreeing to do that because of the amount of leaf and tree, leaves that would fall on the site. So from a maintenance standpoint, having that, all those leaves and debris fall onto the wood fiber surfacing is just harder for them to maintain. So because of the smaller size and the leaf drop, they're going to use the rubberized surfacing, which is, if you haven't seen it, is, it's poured rubber. It meets ADA requirements, and it'll meet all the safety requirements as far as height attenuation. Here are some views of that, so you can see that small structure. It does have a variety of slides and decks and play activities. You can see the slide on the right is the deck to kind of get up to the first level. Then you can go up a little bit higher. There's some climbing acorns and logs around it, which is part of the play activity. So you'll see on here, the swings are just right now 2 standard belt swings. I think that the community wanted more swings. There's just a limitation on if we tried to keep the 4 swings that are out there today, that would probably take up the majority of the space in that playground. What's out there today doesn't meet today's current standards and codes for playground safety equipment. So when you start using the new codes and standards, a 4-bay swing set would take up the majority of the space, and it's very unlikely we'd be able to get a structure out there like the picture on the right. So, maybe there's other smaller panels that could happen, but swings are one of the playground features that you cannot have any overlap with the safety zone in the swings. There's a few other pieces of play equipment where you can kind of get a little bit of overlap in safety zones. Swings, it's hard and fast, nothing can go in there. So they have really large footprints. So that was the challenge with this park, in that it's just a very confined space to start with, and we're just replacing the existing equipment. Here's just the outline we've been following. We did our workshops in November, December, and here we are in April at the Parks and Rec Commission, hoping to get approval to move forward, and then we can start working on construction drawings from now through September. Then we can go out to bid, contractor can get on board, and hopefully spring 2026 is we're hoping to have all of these in and replaced. So that's the presentation. I'll if you'd like me to stay here for questions, I can, or if you'd like to discuss and have me come back up, either way.
Manager Norgard, did you want to give staff comments, and then perhaps we could do a commission question and answer after that?
I think Jeremy covered it very well. Just as a reminder, the playground replacements at Orpheus and Wyro Park are grant funded. So that's a grant that we received through the state. That's funding those. Glen Park will be separate funding, either from Park Improvement Fund or General Fund. We don't have a grant for that one. So our main focus is to get through design so that we can get into construction documents and make our performance period requirements for the grant. But that was a really good overview.
Thank you. I agree, a really good overview. I have actually been working a little bit with Jeremy and his team on the athletic equipment side of things, so I appreciate working with you and also sharing some of my ideas from my fitness background as a fitness instructor in the past. I'm really excited about the equipment that has been selected at this point for both Orpheus and Glen Park. This will actually be the first time that the city of Encinitas has any type of outdoor fitness equipment actually located in our parks. So it's kind of an exciting new amenity that we're adding to our park system. And it is something that is definitely trending in other cities, not only here in California, but also across the nation and the world to add these type of amenities. I would also say that I really love the motifs that you've gone with for all three parks, because they really do seem to fit the space very well. I did attend the Glen Park and Orpheus Park citizen participation meetings, and I know that swings were important to the community, so I'm happy to see that you have included those in all three parks. I did have a couple questions on Glen Park, if you could just switch back to that diagram. The overview of the new park equipment would be great. So I see on somewhat the eastern side, the wall that would be for separating the sand volleyball court from the the engineered mulch. So had you considered also doing a wall a bit on the northern side as well? I see that there's still sand that can kind of be kicked up into that corner.
Yeah, we could wrap it around. We were just trying to leave some opening between the two so that we didn't have the wall completely enclosing the play area. So we thought it was mostly the left, coming across the screen activity. We certainly could wrap it if that's something you would like us to do.
And then the way that the sand interacts with the engineered mulch versus how it interacts with the rubberized surface, does it tend to last longer if they end up kind of being up against each other?
I don't know if it lasts longer or less. I mean, it's just hard to keep the sand where you want the sand to be and the engineered wood mulch where you want the engineered wood mulch to be. So, even if we put a curb, like a flush curb, we still think there would be so much kicking of back and forth that wouldn't even look like a line at some point. It would just blend and be mixed. So it's not necessarily about durability, I don't think. It's just more about having a clean edge between the two different materials. In this case, if it was rubber, the sand would wear out the rubber, but because it's the wood, it kind of like, they'll blend together. It'll be more of a blended kind of look.
And then with engineered mulch, it doesn't have quite the lifespan of the rubberized surface sand withstanding. So there'll be a need for us to kind of go back and add more engineered mulch over time.
Yes, the engineered mulch, it just kind of compacts over time and it breaks down a little bit. So when cities are using this product in their playgrounds, they usually have at a minimum like an annual replacement where they could have a company come basically top off all the playgrounds that have this material to get it back up to the level of the curbs, because you want to make sure you still have accessibility entering it as well. So it is going to be an annual maintenance cost. It costs less, significantly less going in, but you will have annual maintenance costs, whereas the rubber is significantly more going in, but less annual maintenance.
And then I've seen the dark colored mulch before. Do they make it like in a sand colored mulch? Because I think the sand colored mulch would be kind of cool with the surfer motif that we're looking.
Yeah, I've only seen it in the lighter sand colored mulch.
Okay.
So it usually is a lighter color, and I think I agree with you, it works with the look of the city.
And then regarding the elevation difference between the volleyball court and the playground and then the wall, I just have a little bit of concerns with regards to the volleyball players tripping over the wall if they're kind of going back for something that's out of bounds.
Yeah, so we put the wall where the rubber is today, so we didn't encroach into the sand volleyball area. And, the court itself, it won't be right up against the wall, so this would be, I can't tell you exactly how many feet, but several feet behind it. So it is going to be something for them to be aware of, just as if on the other end, if there was concrete there. There is a buffer between where that court ends and where the wall would be, and we put it where the existing rubber is today, so we didn't encroach at all.
And what's the height of that wall?
We're going to make it 18 inches, which is the height of any sort of chair or seat wall, so people can use it functionally.
So on the exercise, if you could go forward on to that screen at Glen Park.
Do you want this view, or do you want a perspective view?
That view looks great. So on the far left, the top and the far right, we have fencing currently. So you're saying that we'll leave that fencing. There is currently some fencing on the bottom with kind of a little gate area where you entered into the horseshoe pit. So we're thinking of removing all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, only keeping it where we need it for safety along the edges.
And I'm happy to see that you added the benches, because I think that is helpful to sit or to lace towels, water bottles, that type of thing, and to keep it out of the fitness area. When you end up replacing Orpheus, or even if you are with the engineered material, where does all the sand go? Do we have a plan for what to do with that sand? Is it something that we can use for the concrete that we're going to be pouring the new slab for the pavilion, or does it just get kind of carted away?
Typically, it does just get carted away.
Okay.
It's just part of the removal, just like all the equipment. They're going to have to haul out all the sand. Depending on how deep it is, we'll have to see, because we're going to have to look at fixing drainage in there and making sure the drains are connected properly. So that would all go out and just be disposed of by your contractor. You can't really take your sand and have it mixed with the concrete. The concrete, first of all, we're not doing a lot of concrete on this project, maybe just the seat wall, and that'll come from the concrete supplier. They do their own mixes, so we couldn't really repurpose it that way. Unless there was some place to direct the contractor on where to take the sand and do something with it. I don't know how clean it is as far as usability. We don't know what's in that and how good it is and how much cost you're adding for a contractor to move it and clean it or anything. So Currently, we're just going to remove it.
So I understand too that at Orpheus, the community did have some discussion with regard to height, because some of the people living in the area wanted to preserve their views. And I know that there are a lot of trees further west of the playground equipment. One thing that they did request, which I see that you've done, is to move the exercise rig from the location that was closer to where they were originally, kind of in the, let's see, there it is. So originally, where that sidewalk kind of looped up around, we were looking originally at putting the equipment there. And as per their suggestion at the meeting, they suggested putting it basically where you've located it there. So I think that's fantastic. And I think it's important that we provide shade structure these days for both the playground as well as the fitness equipment area. Not really necessary at Glen Park because it's already shaded in that area, but definitely here at Orpheus Park, I think so as well. Those are all of the comments that I have. I think it was a fantastic presentation, and I'm really excited about getting these amenities placed into our parks. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
What is the plan for the equipment that you're taking out?
They'll dispose of that as well.
Just goodbye?
Goodbye. It's not compliant really anymore, and which is part of the reason we're replacing it, right? So yeah, it'll just be disposed of, and I think it's lived its life.
I had a question about the third park, the Wairo Park. I was really happy to see the age-separated structures on the other two parks. Given that Wairo Park is so small, I'm curious as to what led you to go to 5 to 12 versus 2 to 5 as a top park?
That's just in dealing with the playground manufacturer, that's just how they say they typically do it. And even though it's labeled 5 to 12, it's not an advanced 5 to 12. If you look at, there's some simplicity to the structure, but there is some pieces in there that puts it into that higher age group versus the lower age group. But they did keep the structure itself fairly simple. And I think in the industry, you would lean towards the 5 to 12 to get a bigger age group of kids out there in that age range, whereas the 2 to 5 is very limited. So if a 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10, they would be probably bored on the 2 to 5 structure.
Okay. Did the neighborhood feedback have any particular?
The feedback wasn't so much about the age group. It was more, we showed two different concepts, and this concept was preferred because it had solid roofs, because the tree litter and the leaf litter falling on the area, they wanted it to kind of bounce off of the roof and at least sort of protect the play area a little bit. The other concept was more open. And so that was preferred, the solid roofs. And again, I already talked about the swings. I understand that there would be a preference for more swings if there was more space.
Okay. And I had one follow-up question on the fitness equipment that's going to be going in. Does it have any particular loose parts or that require extra maintenance from the city to keep it functional?
They try to make those not the ones. Okay, so the ones that have been selected do not have a lot of moving parts. There is other options that we are not showing that do have moving parts. I mean, some of the outdoor equipment essentially is what you would see inside of a gym. There are things where you can do bench presses or chest presses or all sorts of exercises, but what the city kind of was leaning towards was more of the less moving parts and more of letting the person doing the movement kind of activity. And I think that will have less maintenance over time for you versus some, like I've seen exercise bikes, used as outdoor equipment. I've also seen them broken, right? So the city has gone with more of using your own body weight and mass to use the outdoor exercise equipment.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I have seen some outdoor equipment where it's had a lot of moving parts, and over time it falls into disrepair because it requires active maintenance. So
Correct.
it's
Yes.
nice to see what you've chosen. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right, so for this particular action item, we are going to, I'd like to make a motion to approve the design as, actually, let me just double check the verbiage exactly here. So our recommended action is to receive a presentation from staff and Michael Baker International and approve the playground replacement project concepts for Glen Park, Orpheus Park, and Wirrow Park. So I would make a motion. Do I have a second?
Do we have public input here, or?
No public input, correct? Fill out.
I did not. I've never been to these meetings before.
I'm going right here. Didn't realize we had any speakers to it. Yeah, if you'll go ahead and take a moment to fill out a speaker slip, we'll go ahead and certainly listen to your as well. Go ahead, first speaker.
First speaker, Tom
thanks.
Candelaria.
Thanks. I'm glad to get this in before you all voted, hopefully. Hi, members of the council. My name's Tom Candelaria, and I reside in the house alongside the lawn at Wirrow Park. For the last 30 years, we have shared stewardship of Wirrow in both family memories with our grown children and now grandchildren, as well as financial commitment alongside 18 other homes near the park who pay $600 a year for the maintenance. It's this shared stewardship that brings me here today. The designs for remodeling the park features are welcomed, but are grossly undervalued. The design lacks any due diligence in use. I have years of watching new mothers bring their young toddlers to swing in the bucket swings so they can socialize and relax. The children love watching each other swing. It's important for their growth. SOS, save our swings. Remodel the play structure in line with what is designed for the other two parks. The structure proposed for Wirrow is again grossly undervalued and lacks the same due diligence in use. The average user is from 1 to 5 years old and is developing motor skills. Safety is paramount, and when someone falls, I can hear it like it's crying in my backyard. I implore you to rethink the design and include us in it as well. After all, we've been paying $13,000 a year for the last 30 years to earn it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. And we have just one more speaker or two more?
We have one more speaker slip, and Lisa Johnson. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, my name is Lisa Johnson. Unfortunately, I'm not as prepared with my remarks as he is, but I'm glad you were because they were wonderful. I am one of said young mothers bringing a toddler to the park. I live on the same street as Wirrow Park. I guess I have questions more so than I have comments. I will say I am really pleased to see the changes following the last meeting. I unfortunately couldn't be there, but I had a family member go in my place, and I was in touch with the people that were working on the design, so I was very pleased to see those changes. The swings are a great change, and I think the rubber the rubber ground cover is a really necessary thing over mulch. Thinking about mulch being at the other parks, I kind of feel sorry for the families that are bringing their kids there. I mean, they look like wonderful parks, but mulch really sounds significantly worse than rubber, so food for thought. But I'm pleased to see that at Wirrow Park we were able to get the rubber. I agree regarding the swings. I'm so happy to see that there's at least 2 in the new design, but I'm not clear on why they're both older child swings instead of having at least 1 for babies and toddlers. I think that would be a really good change if that's possible to be done at this point. I do also wonder if there was consideration about additional shade structures for Wirrow Park, whether it's over the swings or anywhere in the area. I think the more shade, the better. But again, I do want to acknowledge positive changes from the initial design. I agree with the sentiment that there's a lot of younger kids that go there. I think especially knowing that in Encinitas, at least currently, we don't have TK programs in the schools. There's lots of younger kids that are regularly going to these parks because that's what there is to do a lot of the time during the day. So I think making sure that there's structures there that young kids can play on is important. And those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. And just in some discussion with the commission, I originally had thought when I saw that the two swings were just two older child or even adult swings, that I was wondering, since the other parks did have an infant swing there, whether we might want to do one older and one toddler type swing at Wero, just to accommodate the younger people. I understand that it's challenging when you have a pretty limited space as to what you can put in it. And I think that Michael Baker has worked at trying to find a structure that provides interest and enhancement for kids that are younger, but then also those that are 5 to 12. And it's kind of hard to do, but I felt like for the limited amount of space that we have in that park, and to be able to accommodate two swings at the same time, that's probably about all that we can do within the new rules and regulations and specifications that we have to be within. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
I had kind of a similar feeling though when I asked my question about why it was not skewing younger, because it is kind of isolated relative to all of Encinitas compared to like Glen Park and Orpheus are pretty large parks that probably people aren't coming from other locations as much to use it. And so I saw it as, oh, this is more of the neighborhood little kids park. So I like the idea of making at least one of the swings top friendly. And I'm just concerned, I'm not as familiar, I don't know exactly what all the characteristics and the structures there, but if it's, still skews to the younger cohort, I would be more comfortable with it. And he sure's, our presenter said that it did, but I see it as more of this is a kind of a little kid park when I thought about it.
Any other comments from the commission?
I guess just a question, did we get that type of feedback when we had the community outreach? Did we get any community outreach feedback at Wiro? Because I think we're just seeing a little disconnect here that the folks sitting here say it skews younger, and you might have gotten different information.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback we got was sort of what I kind of already kind of highlighted, which was the surfacing and the solid roofs and adding swings was really the gist of the feedback. And so, we understand there's a lot of moms coming with younger children to the park. And again, I think the intent was, even though that structure is labeled 5 to 12, it's not a complicated structure for younger toddlers. I think there's different height slides that, they can kind of decide which ones to go down. Unless you would prefer to really simplify it even more, then we'd have to do a redesign and come back.
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is you didn't get a lot of feedback that this skewed a lot younger back then. The current play set could accommodate a lot of different ages. And the reason for the scaling down of the swings was because of new regulations that wouldn't allow the same size swing set that we had.
I mean, I think in an ideal world, we would have a bigger swing set. And again, this project is only using the existing footprint that is there.
Yeah.
So the current code for 4-bay swings has a very large safety footprint. And what's out there today would not meet current code. So I mean, it's a little misleading, like, oh, just put back what's there. We can't, because that swing would almost be in the middle of that play area. So, alternatively, if there's no preference for a play structure, you could probably get 4 swings out there, but maybe not much else. So it's a trade-off of what's more important, 4 swings or a structure.
And then could I just get your opinion regarding whether we have 2 older swings versus 1 and 1?
Yeah, I think it's an easy change to put a different seat on one side. So we could easily make one a tot bucket swing and one a traditional belt swing. That's, I think, an easy change. And that doesn't change anything with the safety zones. The safety zones will remain as is. So
Okay.
that's an easy change.
I would also say that the city is a little bit under the gun on being able to use the $600,000 grant that we need to move forward with it so that we can get to construction documents and we can start billing the state for the grant. I feel like the play structure provides, and I'm in agreement with Michael Baker, consultant, in that I feel like it provides some play for all ages, and it has the swings, which we really want. Fortunately, there's a lot of shade in that area already, but there is some shade over the structure itself. So what I would propose as a motion is to go ahead and receive and approve the playground replacement project concepts for the 3 parks with the addition that we change out one of the standard swings for a toddler swing at Wiro. May I have a second?
Yeah, second.
And then, Mr. Fisher, you'll adapt the text to include my addition to the motion regarding the swing set?
Yes, so approving the recommended action with the exception of swapping the Wiro swing set to have 1 for ages 2 to 5 and 1 for 5 to 12.
Great, thank you.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you, and thank you for the guest speakers that came to speak on the topic. I appreciate you taking the time to come. Thank you also to the consultants for coming and presenting to us. We certainly appreciate all the work that you've done. It's been a bit of a long process, so I'm glad that we're released at this point now. Moving on to the next item, which is the Parks and Rec Commission work plan. Let's go ahead and turn over to that.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I was late because I was on the phone with Bruce Ehlers, and he does not know anything about this. He said if he had heard that Wildwood Park was being considered for changes, that would have been a hot topic for him, and he doesn't know anything about it. So I'm just curious how we can proceed without input, without considering the input from the neighbors, and Bruce, who lives close by as the mayor, doesn't even know about this.
I would say, unfortunately, with regards to the rules involved in performing a commission meeting, we can't necessarily just take questions out of the audience. However, what I would recommend is you can certainly speak to the project manager, who's directly to your right, Carlos, or to our Parks Operations Manager, David Norgard, to the right, and they would be happy to answer your questions.
Letters were read and considered.
To the commission? Yes, but I would say that at this point, this particular issue has been passed beyond our plate. So now I would recommend working directly with the project manager or with Manager Norgard.
You know that 19 families paid to maintain that park, and they were not notified about the changes except in December.
It was, and again, we can't really have a discussion with the audience, but certainly bring it up. The project manager is sitting right next to you. Certainly speak with him. He's also involved in all of the noticing.
The idea of one small swing, one big swing is terrible. What are friends going to do? They can't swing together. It's, there's so many things wrong with this, and the neighborhood does not want it. I will bring this to Bruce, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the work plan. So item number 1, for the tours, I think we'll go ahead and have Vice Chair Kimball go ahead and, since she's the lead. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Kim. I apologize. So Commissioner Kimball, if you would go ahead and share anything that you'd like to share on that ad hoc?
The only thing that has happened since the last meeting is I had an email exchange with David Norgard and Commissioner Cappiello about getting speakers set up. And it looks like sometime in the summer, there will be some ideas coming from Margaret Hamer or David on where we can go visit. I'm sorry, not speakers, places we can go visit. So we'll follow up over the next 30, 60 days with them to see what suggestions they have.
Sounds great. And then, Commissioner Kimball, if you just move the microphone a little closer to your mouth, we'll be able to hear you a little bit better.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
better. Thank you so much. I think also we'll probably start with the recreation tour first, and then we'll do the park tour probably later on in the year. The recreation tour we often like to do in conjunction with like junior lifeguards and seeing things that are happening at Moonlight Beach. So Manager Hammer will be a good contact for you to kind of drive the first one forward.
All right, thank you.
Number 2 on attending city-sponsored events. Let's see, we have Commissioner Cormorant.
Not a lot of progress made on the holiday parade so far.
Okay. That sounds good. I think that's fair. I would say if...
Check back in 30 days, we'll see what we come up with.
All right. We'll give you until May. If Manager Norgard might just load up the photos from the mosaic. So we did have a couple commissioners that attended basically the making of the mosaic that will be included, the Scotts Valley playground replacement or playground installation. And actually, I think that happened, or at least it was supposed to happen on the April 15th, where they moved the mosaic over into it. Is that happening?
Nope, not quite yet. The contractor's not ready for it. And we realized that on the second day of the mosaic installation that some of the specially made coins were missing. So we had to have an additional batch fabricated. The designer got those in yesterday, so she's going to place the rest of those. And then the contractor's going to be ready to install it soon.
Okay, thank you. And if you want to just click through a couple of those photos. So that's the overall design that, go back one if you would please. So basically it's kind of a swirl, and there are little glass tiles that they're placing as well as coins that had like a screw welded onto the back of it so that it would stick in the concrete. So what they were doing is building it, and then it gets flipped over and then laid into the concrete. So yeah, this was actually taken maybe an hour or two later. When the first hour that it was happening, it was swamped with activity and people. So it was something that it seemed like the kids really enjoyed participating in it, and we certainly appreciate the lady, I forget what her name was, who had kind of worked on the design and coming up with the glass pieces that are being incorporated in the design. And just there's our commissioner there helping place the tiles. She's good with that glue. And go ahead and scroll forward. There's the two of us working on it. So yeah, it was a great community thing to do, and quite interesting. So it'll be cool to see what it looks like. Perhaps we might even be able to time our park tour so that we could actually see the new equipment at Scott Valley. I think that would be awesome. Any other comments from the ad hoc regarding attending events? I would say, and I know Manager Hummer is going to mention it, but we do have the Spring Egg Hunt coming up on Saturday, so we'd certainly love to see you all there in that. That's always one of the highlight events to participate in. And it's so exciting because Commissioner Kimball actually got her Parks and Recreation Commission shirt, so she can be one of us. Yes, she'll be quite official. So, all right, great. Let's move on to guest speakers, item number 3, and Vice Chair Evers.
Yes, thanks. We have a tentative schedule kind of outlined for the year, and hope to have our first speaker start in May. So we'll keep everybody abreast of that once we have it finalized and share it out.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's. I've seen a draft of that. I'm excited to see us get a schedule kind of hammered out early in the year, and hopefully that will all work out where all those speakers can attend. All right. So number 4 are bylaws. So Commissioner Capiello is not here. Commissioner Quinn, do you have anything in his place?
No, I was in contact with Commissioner Capiello, and we have nothing to report.
Okay. And Manager Norgard, any more update with regards to the standardized bylaws for the 4 commissions?
I know that our director's been working on that and not quite ready to share out yet, but I think that's going to be moving soon.
So for our ad hoc, the priority really is probably more just working on what a mission statement might be for our commission, and then that would just be something that we can tie in with the more standardized bylaws that's going to be used for all 4 commissions. That's my understanding. The major difference between the 4 commission bylaws was just basically the mission statement. All right, moving on to number 5, the Encinitas project. So I am happy to report that things continue to move forward on that end. We are working on our logo at this point with a local Encinitas designer, and we had our first draft of that this last, yesterday actually. and so we're off to a great start there. This designer will also work with us on developing a website. We are also in conversations with the city on getting our memo of understanding with the city worked out so that it can be presented to City Council hopefully at the end of May. We're basically kind of waiting until the city MOU is approved and before we start really moving forward with some of our fundraising and grant activities. Moving on to number 6, the Harbor Seaside Parkway development, which is supported by the Cardiff Foundation. I'm also the lead on this. Just a quick shout out to them. They're very close to launching their website. To where they'll start doing their own fundraising for the project. And I know that they're still kind of working within the city on getting permits for it all. So it continues to drive forward. I would also just remind the commission too that this particular area is right across from VG Donuts in Cardiff, and it's basically, and a presentation was provided to the commission last year, but basically it would to enhance this area around the rail trail that the community over the last 20 or 30 years has worked on trying to kind of do on their own. But this is more of a master plan that would provide a lot more facilities and make that space even more usable. So I know Vice Chair Evers has looked at possibly having the Carter Foundation come in January or February of next year to kind of give us an update on their activities. Number 7, outdoor adult fitness equipment. Oh, I'm up again. So on this one, I'm excited that you guys actually got to see what I've been working on for the last 4 years. We're getting there, and I'm excited to see plans and hopefully we'll see something in the ground in the spring of next year. At this point, there's really not a whole lot left for us to do. It's moving on to getting construction plans made, and then just moving forward with it from there. So.
Hey, good on you for sticking with that. For how many years now?
I started when I first got on the commission, so 4 years ago. So it's been a project. But you know, you got to be tenacious, right? Thank you. All right, number 8, and this is tennis courts and pickleball. Always important topics. Again, the lead is Commissioner Capiello. Commissioner Quinn, do you have anything to say in his absence?
Again, I was in touch with Commissioner Capello, and we basically said there's nothing new to report, although at the Arbor Day, we did have a pickleballer who plays at the community center, and she was very pleased with the new hours. She had a discussion with Manager Hammer and myself, and she was happy. And Vice Chair Evers was there.
Well, fantastic. We always love it when the public's happy with us, right? All right, so thank you very much for that. Just on the staff side of things, are we hearing anything with regards to reports from pickleball or tennis players?
No, we haven't really heard anything new. I haven't, knock on wood, received any complaints or mixed messages from tennis or pickleballers recently. That said, I think we would still like to have one of these meetings, maybe this summer, advertised as a chance for folks to come talk about these things, recap what we did last year, and continue to move forward with that.
Thank you. And then everything at the community center with pickleball seems to have quieted down?
Yes, pickleball, we adjusted the schedule and added sort of a league role for them to have so they'd have reserve space, and people seemed quite pleased. In fact, it didn't fill up, so we know that there was demand, but limited.
Fantastic. Great news. Thank you. Moving on to pop-up parks at city events. So I'm excited that Chair Evers and Commissioner Quinn participated in Arbor Day. Chair Evers, did you want to speak to it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thank you so much, Commissioner Quinn, for coming, and to the staff and the team, Manager Hamer and Nicole, and Director Knopp actually helped put together some equipment too. So we had a lot of fun with the cornhole. The axe throwing was a huge hit. And what was the third thing we had there? Oh, the Connect 4. That was also a very fun one. So it was a lot of great fun. It was a beautiful day too. Perfect day for Arbor Day. So thank you, everybody.
And Manager Norgard, you want to share some of the photos
do you
from
have some
the event?
pictures?
So We have a Parks and Recreation Commission pop-up park banner, and thank you to Manager Hammer. She went ahead and acquisitioned a stand for it. In the past, I've often used my scooters to put on either side of it to try to hold it up. So, you know, we're hitting it big time now. We got our own stand. So thank you for getting that. And there you can see our great commissioners. They're volunteering their time. Thank you for that. Next slide. Here are the cornhole sets that the Recreation Services Department ended up acquiring last year for the pop-up park. And next picture.
And it's one of our youth commissioners and his sister.
Oh, oh, fantastic. And then this is a Connect 4 that was donated by the Encinitas project to the pop-up park. This was great with the younger people. And the next photo, and there is the fantastic axe throwing. And not only do they have, and they're plastic axes, I mean, they're not going to kill anybody with them, but they also had ninja stars, which is awesome. So this was another lawn game that was donated by the Encinitas Project for the Commission's pop-up park. Is that the last photo? There might be one more. And that's just basically kind of an overview of the pop-up park. So we'll be seeing this again soon for the cyclovia or cyclovia, however you want to say it, with the addition of a pickleball court. So that should be really fun. I think we may also be doing it for an upcoming movie night. Any other questions or comments on that work plan item? Moving on to the trails work plan item. Commissioner Quinn, what do you have for us?
Is there a presentation? Okay, so our committee met at our favorite trails meeting place, Champagne Bakery, for croissants. And there will be a expense report submitted. I strike that. So we decided that it would be a great idea to share our favorite trails with the commission and whoever might be here, residents, citizens, and so forth. So we each chose a trail, and we took pictures and had a little narrative to go along with it. I suggest that each commissioner who walked the trail narrate.
I went to Aviary Avenue, and also we received this information from the Trails Coalition, so some of this is from them, and then I walked it myself. Aviary Avenue is named so because there's an amazing aviary backed up to the trail, and you can hear the exotic birds and see the plumeria plants that they grow there on that site as well. There's also a little fairy garden along the trail, and it's partially shaded with trees, has a nice lined path with a white picket fence and a very minimal incline. On the north side, it connects with North Country Rose Trail, and the south side connects with Alpaca Alley Trail.
Okay, Spooks Canyon, everybody's heard me talk about Spooks Canyon. I just love this trail. But it connects with Old Oak, and it's just 2 miles long, but part of it is strenuous, and part of it is easy to moderate. I did have a little accident falling down the other side. I won't show you my injuries, but it was, you have to be careful of the gravel. The best place to park, that's always a consideration whenever I go on a trail, is where do you park? And it's kind of limited there because there's red curbs in that neighborhood. So I felt pretty safe parking at the corner of Camino del Rancho and Brookside. So the trail begins adjacent a private road, and next slide. You share that road with horses, so you got to be very careful where you step. You cross over a bubbling brook, and then you start climbing and ascend to the top. And at the very top of is a really informative sign which talks about how Spooks Canyon got its name. And you think, well, maybe there's some ghosts there or whatnot, but that is just a legend. It was actually named after a man named Spooks who had a bean farm there. So that's where the name came from. But there used to be a sanitarium back there, which is kind of interesting. And this talks about the birds and the flora and the butterflies and so forth. Next slide. This is my favorite part. After you descend the top, you come to this little brook. You wouldn't even know that you were in Encinitas. It just takes you back to some place on the East Coast or some mountainous area, but it's just really relaxing. One of these days I'm going to go there with a book and just spend hours there and just kind of chill. It's very relaxing. It's a pretty popular trail, though. You'll see about 4 or 5 people an hour coming through there. After you enjoy the water treatments, you come to a fork in the road, and my favorite poet, Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken, that reminded me of that. But I went left to connect with Old Oak Trail. You could go to the right and connect with Staircase Trail, which I haven't tried yet. Next one. And then Vineyard Trail will take you through a residential neighborhood, and it connects with Old Oak Trail. Old Oak winds through the behind barns and horse corrals and riding stables, and it's really kind of different, but it's very serene and pretty enjoyable. You'll see that you get very up close to the horses and some of the ranchers there. You can see the sign, "We hope you enjoy seeing our horses, but please do not feed or pet." That's it.
Well, thank you very much. I am quite impressed. Oh, I'm sorry. We have one more.
There's one more. I'll go quickly. It's
Oh,
fine.
no, please take your time.
I did Vista Ridge. I didn't actually know that was the name of the trail. I just called it the Water Tower Trail all the time. I live nearby. It's about a 2-mile long loop trail that winds around the north end of the Encinitas Ranch golf course. And what's nice about it, it has views of the ocean, the canyon bluffs, and hills to the east. It's an easy walk and it has places to sit. As Commissioner Quinn said, parking can be an issue because Leucadia Boulevard and Quail Gardens Road do not have much parking. So you park on where I would suggest parking is on Paseo de las Flores off of Quail Gardens Road, and then walk a few hundred feet to Leucadia Boulevard and head east until you see the stairs for the bridge crossing the road. I did have my husband and dog with me, so they're memorialized in the photo. Then when you reach the stairs to the bridge, take the stair across the bridge, head to the east, head right. It's actually quite well marked what's golf course and where you're not allowed to walk, so it's not ambiguous at all. And the driving range will be on your left, and it's a bit of a brief, steep trail to get to the top. Next slide, please. Once you get to the top, it was a cloudy day, but still beautiful. You can see both to the east and the west, and there's a stand of eucalyptus trees and wildflowers. And you can see the red bluffs to the east. The trail eventually turns west with a picnic table outlook into the golf course, and then heads towards Quail Gardens Road. At that point, you can cross the street and continue down what's now called Eucalyptus Trail. I know it is like Indian Head Canyon, but that name may have changed. Or head left onto Quail Gardens Road going south, will take you back to where you parked, and that is about a 2-mile loop. It's a very nice walk, pretty well trafficked. You'll run into people, particularly on the weekends, runners and people with their dogs, but it's quieter than the trail on the south side of it, Lucadia Boulevard, which is, goes around the Encinitas Ranch housing development. I believe that's it. Thank you.
All right, now I can speak. That was fantastic. Great initiative. I appreciate you guys taking the time to take the photos and write the copy and put together a presentation for the entire commission. So thank you very much for your time to do that, and it's always informative to learn more about the trails, which unfortunately we don't get to talk about as much as maybe we should. So thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
One of the things that I had been thinking about, and maybe this is a question for Manager Norgard, not that these photos we took would necessarily go in there, but is there a way to get more narration or more photos into the Outer Spatial app for others, or what would be the process for that?
That's a great question, and that's precisely what we plan to use with your work product so far. The three that you've shown tonight are fantastic. This is a really great way to go about it. It's conversational and informative. So we'll take this probably toward the end of the work plan year. Some of the photos we'll be able to use are the ones we might shoot on clear days and stuff like that. But the whole intent is to add detail to the Outer Spatial app, so when folks are looking for a trail to hike, they can click on it. Some of our other assets, like the bigger parks, already have those narratives, and this work plan item came out of that idea that we had some gaps in some of our assets.
Okay, is it city staff then that would take those photos, or is it, is there a way for volunteers who are willing to go and take the content? Because the reason I was thinking is that those photos are not geotagged, well, they are technically, but like if there was a way in the app that they could, when you're standing somewhere, take the photo that is geotagged exactly to the location, the right location where you're standing.
Sure. First step will be city staff will put together the narratives, add those to Outer Spatial, and probably like one thumbnail photo. I'm not sure if we can add the geotag photos itself or if that's fenced right now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And do you know if Outer Spatial has a functionality like All Trails does with regards to users just posting photos when they're out and about?
They may have that ability under their own profiles, but since this is more of a city-run profile, I don't think we're adding a lot of that, just to make sure that we get the content that we want up there.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. That was quite interesting. Number 11, regarding naming and possible future uses of the city land. Commissioner Cormorant?
No progress on that last month. I did stop in the park. It's a bit of a construction zone right now and is going to remain so for several years. Parking is currently atrocious, so we've got a lot of opportunity to make some progress here.
Fantastic. All right. And then number 12, the pollinator garden. Commissioner Vander Arwer.
We do have a meeting set up for tomorrow for the ad hoc to meet with, you know his name.
Jay,
Jay.
who came and presented.
Yeah, and did our presentation here last year, so we're going to meet up with them. And is staff coming as well?
I'm not able to make that one.
Okay. Yep, so.
Will you be sending anyone?
If one of my staff's available, yes.
Okay.
We'll bring back more information after we meet.
Sounds great. Yeah, it's interesting. The Jay, the individual that originally brought the idea to the commission, he's on a quest to also try to get a pollinator license plate for California approved, but I guess it requires 2/3 vote of the legislature to make that happen. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see how that idea pollinates. All right. Moving on to number 13 on marketing, Commissioner Vander Arwer, if you wanted to approach that one.
Yeah, we're just at the beginning stages, working with staff to find out availability to pass out more programs and things like that, and how to do the marketing. So just getting
Great.
started. Thanks.
Thank you. And Commissioner Kimball, I'm excited to hear about how the Adventure Lab went, or I actually appreciated the email that you gave with regards to the feedback, and I look forward to you sharing those thoughts with the Commission.
Certainly. So myself and Commissioner Evers were participating in the Adventure Lab with members of the Youth Commission on Art Night. I was stationed at Pacific View Arts Center. I don't recall where you were stationed, but the Senior Center. I think overall, I think it's a great idea for us to consider as ways to engage the community. Initially, at the Pacific View Arts Center, people were a little bit hesitant, but the swag that you put at the table did help because it brought people in because, oh, I can get something for free. And then we could talk about what it actually was. I think that towards the end, people started rushing in with completing their challenges and wanting to be make sure that they were included in the drawing that was being offered for the gift card. I think that going to all 5 locations was a little tough for people to get everything done. If we were at an event that was one location, I think that it would have been a really big hit, and more people would have participated. We saw that when we told people they had to go to each site, people said, well, I wasn't planning to. But as I said in my email, I think that this is an opportunity for us to find ways to engage the community at events. And I've been out of town for the last week, but I'll follow up with an email to set up a meeting with you and Manager Hamer, I'm sorry, I'm still learning all the right words, to talk about what we can do to engage with the Youth Commission to get future challenges set up, and maybe the way we market it, describe it a little differently, and maybe I was thinking adult-friendly versus child-friendly, like just ways to get more people engaged, because once people did it, they actually liked it. So I think it's a great way to, so I'll be reaching out to try to set something up to see how we can help.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so that is the last work plan item. So let's move on to informational items, starting with our parks operations report. Manager Norgard.
Thank you, Chair Ritter. A couple updates for tonight. Work is underway at the Encinitas Community Park skate bowl to replace the coping and the tile there. Contractor built a kind of neat little mini scaffold inside of the bowl. So if you know the bowl, it's very deep and has concave sides, so it makes it difficult to stand there and do much work. So they built a wooden scaffold inside of there so they have a platform to stand on, and work's underway to replace the coping. The coping's been removed. It looks really clean. They're doing a really great job. That should be completed in the next couple weeks and opened back up. Work is also underway for the Scott Valley Park Playground Replacement Project I mentioned earlier. Contractor's currently anticipating being completed with that in the end of May. So we're talking about a possible ribbon cutting or some sort of event to celebrate that. And then lastly for me, the D Street beach access was closed last week. A structural engineer consultant that we utilize came out at the request of staff to take a look at it and recommended that we close that for repairs. So the engineering department is working with a contractor to get some quotes together for cost, and that same structural engineer to put together the technical specifications for us to do that. That work will focus mainly on replacing steel brackets that have exceeded their usable lifespan. So the contractor will go in and replace those brackets so that we can open back up.
So it sounds like a pretty easy repair for just replacing the brackets versus like what happened at, in Leucadia.
Easy might be a stretch, given the size of the structure, so we'll have to shore it up. It's multiple platform levels. That will actually be the bulk of the work, is shoring it up and keeping it in place while the brackets are taken off and new ones put on. That said, the main limiting factor for the repair of stone steps was the timber that was required, and that timber had to be specially manufactured up in the Pacific Northwest. They're huge timbers, and they have to be specially treated for the marine environment, and the lead time on those was really long, and then shipping them down here took quite a while as well. So right now we're really focused on getting the specs for the brackets, and so those can be manufactured probably much more quickly than the big timbers.
And hopefully not in China. All right. Manager Hamer, would you like to share your Recreation Services report, please?
Yes, I would like to share. Some of it is repetitive. Wanted to just give a shout out for Arbor Day. It was a beautiful day. The pop-up park was extremely successful and very fun. And we had approximately 400 participants that day throughout the morning that planted trees and engaged in environmental awareness and played in our pop-up park. So very, very fun. Thank you, commissioners who attended. And I think it's a great asset when you're there because, as you heard, you get that feedback from the community, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But really, as a commissioner, I think that representation really elevates the experience of our info booth or anything else that staff are doing. So we really do appreciate it. It makes a difference. At the Adventure Lab, thank you, Commissioner Kimball, for all your feedback. It was not enough time for a lot of people, but it was engaging and it was a success. There were 137 locations successfully completed. So that was quite a few people looking around and exploring and learning more about art. And there was the complaint that there wasn't enough time. So that was the challenge. I did get a sponsored credit to do another adventure for Cyclovia, which is a longer period of time, as well as a couple blocks location. So I think it'll be a great place to set. And so when planning that, we'll make sure to include you and we can get some good input, maybe include sponsors or restaurants and that type of thing, since it'll be during the day. So excited for the next Adventure Lab. And of course, our upcoming events, we have the Spring Egg Hunt. That's this Saturday, April 19th, 10 to 12 p.m. I did reach out to everybody. If something's changed or you're attending, just confirm or let me know. It just helps us to kind of sort out where we will assign volunteers. We also have a movie in the park coming up. It will be Moana 2 on Saturday, May 3rd. That'll start at 6:30 p.m. and we'd love to have the pop-up park if any of you are available to help host that, and as well as Cyclovia. So I already mentioned it. We want to add the Adventure Lab. That's going to be Sunday, May 18th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Youth Commission is also hosting the bike valet with bike safety information. So I think anytime we can collaborate with the commission's youth and senior or Parks and Rec wanting to work together, that's always welcomed also. So there'll be more information to come about that, but definitely that Adventure Lab. I'm sure the pop-up park section with your area will be one of those spots that people have to locate. So, and then talking about the marketing, our summer guide is in production now and registration begins Monday, May 12th. So we'll have a new guide. I did inquire about the distribution of the current guides, and we are almost out of our spring session guide. So I was told, no, you can't have any. But what I will do when they come out May 12th is I will bring them to the next meeting and provide everybody just a stack. And once again, it's very casual, like maybe the local businesses of the doctors or whoever you go in town, and that they have magazines or things placed. We just love to have the city one also added there. So we appreciate your support with all of that, and thank you.
All right. Lots of activities coming up in the near future. So I hope that the commissioners might be able to get some time to attend some of those, because they're really they're really fun things to do this time of year. So Commissioner Quinn, you had a comment.
I'd just like to make a comment. I had physical therapy today on my knee, and sitting in the waiting room was the guide. Amazing. It was
It's
very cool to
working.
see that. But it was better than, People magazine that was from 1978, But I just thought I'd mention it.
A quick note on that. I mean, that shows the maps to our parks and trails, lists all the different activities. If you're in a doctor's appointment, we have yoga and all kinds of things that are in there. So that means that our staff are doing their job, but that would be a perfect example. If you didn't see it, you might say, oh, add it. Great news. I'll share with the marketing staff.
All right, fantastic. Any other questions regarding recreation services, comments?
One quick question. If I was looking online for what's coming up, is there a centralized calendar that we would have, or is that?
There is one right on the back of, or in every agenda with the
Every
work
agenda?
plan. It's on the back. I'll just pass this down. You can have
No, I could
my copy.
print that out.
Okay, great.
I'm just talking about, not for me, for like the general public to say what's coming up this week. So I have
you wanna
somebody
address that?
coming into town, and I say, okay, go look at this and you'll see what's going on in the community.
Sure.
Yes, so the city website does have a main calendar where things are listed, and you'd see arts and recreation programs there. And then also on our main pages, there's an special events page. And a Google search would get you there, I'm sure, but if not, from the city webpage, it'd be the main calendar and then over to the different areas.
Any other questions or comments? All right. With that, then let's. We don't have any commission member-initiated agenda items or any future agenda items to be added by commissioners. So let's move on to the roundtables. Let's start at the very end, and we'll work down this way.
Thanks. I have nothing else to report. We got it covered in the work plan. Thank you.
I echo the same sentiment. I've spoken enough tonight.
Same for me. I covered everything in the work plan discussion.
Nothing to add, thank you.
The same, nothing to add.
So you guys going to make me talk, or should I just join the gang? Just real quick, I would just like to shout out one more time on the spring egg hunt. If you can make it, it's really a lot of fun. And if we were to participate in that, what time would you like us there, Manager Halmer?
I would recommend 15 minutes before 10 a.m. The parking does become challenging, so earlier is better for that reason, but sometimes people will come later because it's till 12, so if you came at 11, that would be, any time is helpful. There's not a strict schedule because City Council will also be there.
And there may be, depending upon how it works out, there may be an opportunity to call one of the races. So for those commissioners that haven't actually experienced it, there's an upper field and a lower field, and they do different egg hunts based upon age categories and different start times. So yeah, it might be an opportunity to actually call one of the races. And it's fun to take the opportunity to go to the center of the field before the chaos happens and to see them all kind of rushing in towards you. So hope you would have an opportunity to do that. And then also before our May meeting, we have the movie night. So again, that's another really fun event that Recreation Services puts on. This will be in Cardiff at Glen Park, and definitely recommend participating in that. And the pop-up park ad hoc would certainly appreciate your help if you have availability that day. So with that, it's 7:04, and I adjourn the meeting. Thank you.